guys, welcome back to Within the Cauldron. It's me, Nico, and today I have Miss Tiffany and
Oh,
our guests here. We have Chris, who's a Gnostic, and Valor, who is a Hermetic alchemist. And we're going to be talking a bit about their practices and some of the text involved around that. Well, to get started, I guess we should probably explain kind of what a Gnostic is.
Okay, so a Gnostic is somebody who follows the belief of gnosis, which would be inner knowledge through remembrance, as well as leaving open all types of scripture texts, grimoires, open to the mind, as we see everything as good, not everything such as good knowledge, bad knowledge, whatever you would consider it to be a worthy source to be read for short words, for ascension.
Right on. And Jacob, you're in the Hermetic and Alchemist, which is kind of adjacent to it. Tell us a little bit about it.
so we kind of believe that our mind is what this all kind of comes from. We call this and refer to this as an all of conscious state of which emanates from every single being as well as the things around us. And as these things emanate, we interact with each other. We achieve a better understanding of the universe for ourselves and life by understanding this and going through the knowledge of it.
Right on. And Tiffany, you have some very Gnostic views as well.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I do. So I would definitely consider myself more of a Christian Gnostic. I view Jesus as basically the serpent in the garden. He's the one that encouraged Eve to eat from the apple to awaken from this prison that we're in. And she in turn, of course, awakens Adam. I also believe that Christ and Sophia are interchangeable. I think they are counterparts of each other. I think they are. There's a word I'm grasping at.
They are counterparts.
They're the left and right hands.
That's basically the best I can say. Yeah. So just depending on which side you're looking at, like you could argue it was Sophia, it was Christ. Just like Barbelo is the mother and the father. So anyway, yeah. And I define gnosis as a deep inner knowing that transcends a need for scriptural justification. And if you want, we can get a little bit more into that.
So we would call that Sethianic Gnosticism, followed by the tribe of Seth.
Yeah, I'm definitely more Sethian than I am Valentinian. I try to be Valentinian, but I just can't. I can't get behind it. I can't worship Yaldabaoth. I'm sorry, I can't do it.
So the Valentinians still saw him as an evil god, but were willing.
I know, but they tried to blend in.
No, yeah, they were willing to give parts of themselves to Yaldabaoth or the Demiurge, in order to live freer in society and other things. I follow a non-dual emanationist Gnostic path. It's a spiritual framework where the universe flows from one absolute source, and liberation comes through direct knowledge and practice.
Mm-hmm. Now, where do you get inspiration from your? Oh, sorry, Nico. Do you mind if I?
Oh, go right ahead.
Thank you. Thanks. Where do you get inspiration for your practice from? Like, is that more of an eclectic thing, or?
So I originally started pulling it from Sethianic Gnosticism as well, and I've branched out from there as I've gone forth. The core philosophy would be, or my core reasoning is I enjoy meditation, mental alchemy, inner knowing, and the entertainment of magical work.
For me,
Okay.
I started understanding things around me, such as the vibration in the field. So I started seeing things differently. I started seeing them as light structures moving in waves when I closed my eyes.
Okay.
And that was what led me to where I'm at. It took me down to Egypt. It took me to Sumerian. It's taken me all over too, just because I want to gain what I can.
Mm.
When I first started my Gnostic journey, I was looking into the Canaanite and Sumerian. Then I met a couple of other Gnostics that I started working with through TikTok and a couple of other places. That's where I learned about Sethianic Gnosticism. I have a really good friend that knows a lot about the subject, and he's very knowledgeable and knows about the Christ autogene, how everything works in that department. I'm still learning in that area, but it's probably one of the most interesting paths that I've been looking into so far.
Mm, mm. So my question
Well,
is, do you distinguish between a supreme unknowable god and a lesser demiurge who creates the physical world, or do you view them as two sides of the same coin?
They are not two sides of the same coin. For us, it would be the where is it? We would have something called the absolute source, which would be called either the one in Platonism or the monad in Gnostic culture. It's beyond being, it's beyond duality. The origin of all existence, it's not a god in the personal sense, it's an emanator. Reality unfolds in layers, like light through a prism. Each layer is less unified than the one above. Everything ultimately comes from the one, though.
Yeah.
So the demiurge would have been based out of structural ignorance. The demiurge is an accidental byproduct of emanation. It emerges at the threshold of differentiation and ignores the one, rigidifies structure, and produces suffering. It's not evil, just structurally ignorant. Pain exists because of the friction between the divine spark and the overstructured forms.
So it'd be very similar to
So
how pagans view the concepts of entropy and chaos.
Yes, yes.
So for me, understanding that everything came from the source created everything before anything, after the source predecessing and created anything. That's for, even if it was created through accident, this came from within the source. It is a fracture of the source of the all. So demiurge is, in fact, in a simple way, a fracture or another side of the 64 hexagonic coin.
Ooh. What about you, Tiffany?
oh, sorry guys, I had a weird glitch there. Like you all went black for a second, so I missed like the last 15 seconds of conversation. Uh, Fill me in real quick.
We were talking about the distinguishment between like the monad and the demiurge, and whether they are entirely
But
separate beings or if they're a dualistic system. And Jacob was explaining how the all fractalizes in hermeticism.
Yeah, if you want to get technical, absolutely everything is an emanation of source, including the demiurge. But I
It's
don't.
a non-dualistic.
I think it is
yeah, no, I get it.
malevolent. I think it is malevolent because Christ had to wake us up because we were in this prison. He wanted us to serve him in fear and slavery. Uh, him and his
So to
archons
make
tried
sure,
to rape the spiritual Eve. She had to leave behind a physical copy of herself.
in the model that I follow, he like I said, he ignores the one, he rigidifies structure, and he produces suffering. Not evil, just structurally ignorant
Yes, so
from
that's
the point of
that's
view.
where we agree, right? So to me, he himself is not in compliance with the one. He is the counterpart that was created out of maybe Sophia's ignorance, but he was always created from the one as
Hmm.
being a fracture within him that he himself suppressed.
Yeah.
Because he'd have to be root. I mean, have some sort of divine spark of his own, because
Mm,
otherwise, how could he remain in existence, not just be dead matter after he blew Sophia's own light out of himself to animate Adam. So, and yet he
Which
didn't
had
become
no soul.
inert. So,
yep, yep.
exactly. So, yeah, no, it's interesting. Ultimately, everything is, you don't exist without source. So,
Yeah.
Yep. The
We
next.
were
So
basically
here's the question.
okay.
Mm,
but
It's
I
a
just,
really good question. But what do you think happens if we choose to stop observing as the source
we go
consciously?
the observer. I think that there's an unconscious observer, to be totally honest. I know that not everybody believes in that, but that I'm a pantheist, so I believe that there's like an externalized force observing us as well as interacting with us, um, as well as is also like the entirety of our seeable and unseeable universe.
Well, in order to do that, we would have to
Know it, but don't say it.
yeah, it's hard. It's hard. Um but what my whole point was in the difference between the demiurge and the and source would be uh source is beyond being and beyond duality. Uh
Mm,
it's the origin of all existence, not a god in the personal sense. Um, and then the demiurge is more on the lines of it. It was an accidental byproduct of emanation through Sophia that emerges as the at the threshold of differentiation. Ignores the one, rigidifies structure, uh, and causes pain, and exists because of friction between the divine spark and the overstructured forms.
mm,
Kind of like the monad at one point in time had that contained, right?
Yeah,
And then through Sophia wanting to do what she wanted to do, it was released and exalted onto the earth above us, into the
yeah.
waters above, matching the waters below. So we have to escape and arise above that, right? To achieve what our end goal is, wouldn't we?
mm. My next question is do you view the physical universe as inherently flawed or evil in a way, or is it simply a distraction from our true spiritual homes and purpose?
I want to hear Valor's take on this one first.
What was the question again?
Do you view the physical universe as inherently flawed or evil, or is it
No.
simply a distraction from our true spiritual home and purposes?
Yes. And so no and yes. The answer to the first part of this question is no. And the second part is yes. I believe the world that we see, because it's done on a mass scale by people that are consciously aware of the secrets that I withhold, that I
Mm,
am not telling and bringing forth, already know. So they can project it through their own systems that they've already created, allowing it to alter our perceptive if we consume it.
interesting.
I believe that in a way, um, it's a yes in and of itself because I believe that question one more time. I am so sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. Is the universe intrinsically flawed or evil, or is it merely a distraction from our spiritual home and purpose? So, are we playing a video game, or is the world truly evil and cruel and only meant for suffering?
I don't believe that the world is just cruel, meant for suffering. I believe it's for us to realize to a point that what we've been put into is a trap. But there is a way out. There is not eternal suffering through just reincarnation. I believe you can get out of that through ascent of either gnosis or the path work that you've worked through in your Gnostic journey.
Right on, right on. And then, would you define gnosis? Is it a intellectual understanding, a sudden revelation, or is it a gradual and internalized path working for awakening? Is it something that you just like wake up and your entire cosmology shatters? Do you think it slowly happens, or does it vary person to person?
I would say it's a combination of the last two. In the way of, I do believe that person to person can find different avenues, and I don't believe that there's just one way to go back to source. I believe that Tom may have his way over here, Mary may have their way over here, and also I do believe that it moves slowly for some people, and it moves very quickly for others.
I would agree. I've been quoted several times saying that all paths lead to a light.
I would also agree with this statement.
Now whether that light is the right one depends.
True,
Don't look directly at the light. Turn left.
And then touching
bad Gnostic joke.
Touching back on the divine spark, what is your perspective of it within humanity, and how do we go about fanning that spark into a flame?
I think that the divine spark starts out as when we are little, we start taking in all the minimal gnosi around us, you know, the minimal knowledge that we take in from our parents, morality, and other things. And then we evolve that as we get older through mindset, matter of learning, and it moves on from there, if that makes any sense. Depending on background, I think say I grew up Baptist, and I learned how to deconstruct through Gnosticism, or what would have been more esoteric Christianity in the form of the Church of the Latter-day Saints. So that's kind of what broke me free of the thought of Christianity as a whole and moved me forward into my thought process.
So for me, it's the acknowledgement that all stories are the same story, which means even throughout history where they tell us these stories of awakenings, we have scriptures of shamans, we have scriptures of the Kundalini yoga, all talking about a level of being able to achieve something. We have other things that have been known made public as well, right?
There's a lot of similarities because we have self-apotheosis within tradcraft and the actualization of self and the divine architect throughout different pagan spiritualities, and like very similar processes.
Did we lose Tiffany?
Yes,
we
yes,
did.
we did.
Okay.
They got snatched by an archon. Their whole technology borked. Yeah.
Did she message you? Is she gonna be back on?
Yeah. she's working on it, but no guarantees.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure she was okay.
Yeah. You guys know when we have these kinds of conversations, what happens?
Yep,
The
Yeah,
I
spirits be
know.
playing.
dude.
Um,
They're not ready. No fractures yet.
Speaking of archons getting in the way of like conversational topics and everything, you want to bring up what we dealt with earlier today, Jacob?
Oh yeah.
I've been
Walk us
saving
through
this
it.
for the
I
podcast.
have two, dude. This is a big one.
So we ran into me, Jacob, and a couple of other people were sitting in a live, and I'm sure you've heard of the name Puppy Love before.
mhm.
Do you know what she claims to be?
No.
She claims to be a shadim, or a
Yup,
jinn,
a Shadim.
a shadin, a jinn of some sort, and how we first ran into her was she came onto the live and started talking about how her brother just passed away yesterday due to today due to like uh mental circumstances, and
Rest their soul.
basically faked the whole thing in front of us. When we tried to help her, she basically used us to open a gate and was trying to how would you say it, Jacob? I don't know how to.
She was trying to destiny swap us, brother. I then, after she came back in, mind you, I
Um,
made sure I had, it gets a bit deeper. I had my stones, I had my things. I put the amethyst in the water, but I made sure to purify the water with the salt of man beforehand, right? I know my stuff. So when she comes back in, I perform two more things. That's the first great work. So this jinn has been revealed now towards Chris. And there's two more great works that get performed through me, right? The
Mhm.
first one is when she comes back in, she mentions something. She mentions the expose where she mentions the fact that she came in and her dog had to poop, right? Which really got Chris going. Like Chris
Only
got
because
real quiet.
she left halfway through the reading, cut off the connection and everything, and it just jarred me. So I was sitting there and I was like, what the heck is going on? Um, in that, like, I was trying to figure out what she was doing, and then she came back with such a redundant answer. She was basically trying to steal my energy at this point, and then
She
came
said she had
at
to
that
take
point.
She said she
Go
had
ahead.
to take her dog go poop, and I said, "Oh wait, so you were trying?" I was like, "That's almost destiny swapping." To which she doesn't deny it. She then goes on the explanation of saying that she owns it, saying she's a djinn, right? And starts targeting me for exposing her. So at this point, I laugh at her. At this point, I laugh at her, and I twist that, 2 plus 2 that, and then she
yeah.
tries to go after the rest.
She realized she couldn't get me because I picked up on it. She realized she couldn't get him, so she started going after every single other one in the live. Dude, she claimed to have been to 122 different countries and spoke over, I think it was like 9 languages. She
And
could,
she did
and it was
speak
it
9 languages.
it was creepy, dude. Like she had a literal Shadeen stuck to her and was controlling her. It was
Well, technically, everybody has a personal gen.
yes,
We
but
equate it to the witch's fetch. Yeah,
this one
This
wasn't
but
was
malevolent Jinn though.
but generally they're good or neutral. But some people got evil ones.
Yeah.
Uh,
yeah. So we had to do. I did do the same to where everybody was all protected around me and everything like that. Set my light, sparked it. I had to do what I had to do because I know me and Chris are safe, but she was in this live with random people that did start talking about how they felt it and they felt sick and they felt ill, and it was like, oh man, bro, like
yeah, take care of the community. Uh,
yes.
that's a good point. brings us to our next question. On the origin
Okay.
of evil, in your view, did suffering arise from a fall of the divine being like Sophia, or is it an inevitable byproduct of matter?
Oh, okay. So I think at a certain point, Sophia, yes, she did make a mistake, but I don't think that her point was to commit intentional suffering or cause intentional suffering.
I would
I
agree with
think
you
it was
there.
more of a
It's
byproduct of it becoming material.
yeah,
So the
and
reason, yes, 100%. And the reason why I say that it cannot be matter is because technically the emotion itself has a frequency, which is a vibration of light moving in pattern before as it interacts and emanates off of our body, as science has shown us.
mhm,
This is,
mhm.
yeah. So, no, it is not of matter. Wherever it comes from without or from with
Well,
outside of that.
I'm of the mindset that evil is immorality only ascribed to man, and that divinity and spirituality are outside of that. Uh, and that there may be spirits that are malicious and do not like humanity, but they're not evil because of it. But we wouldn't call a spider evil for what it does to a fly. That's simply what nature does.
Exactly. Which is why I allowed her to come in and everything like that. It wasn't until she got to some point, like she mentioned the WAR lock word
Oh,
to somebody when somebody was known as a practitioner. I was like, get out of here. No.
yeah,
At that point,
yeah.
now you're doing too much of this. So it's like,
Trying to get people to rise up. A
mhm.
role on like what kind of source documents and like sacred texts that we look at. Are there particular texts that you find more authoritative? Do you lean more towards like the Nag Hammadi library, or do you find Gnostic themes in mainstream scriptures, or do you look at totally off the wall things like vast cultural study and comparative religion?
So I believe that a lot of things that you can find Gnostic within the Christian Bible, because that's initially in the Old Testament is where you find the first hint of, said demiurge in Genesis when it talks about how there are Elohim, which means in depending on what translation you're using, means other gods. Um, and in that thought, we have the demiurge saying these two trees you should not touch. But at the beginning of creation story, it says every seed, tree, or thing that it comes from those amenities are free for us to have as humans. So what changed? What made that difference in, oh, now you can't touch these two trees? What put that barrier, even though we were told as creation that we have access to all seeds and things that bear fruit?
Mm.
Um,
So I like to ask myself for the knowledge, and then once I think something is true, go and find it. But the way that I've done this, I've created an app that can show people my own personal journey on what I've learned and where I've dabbled and where I've journeyed, where my travels are. The topics that are on this app that I've created is quantum physics, the hermetic principles, philosophy, psychology, geometria, astrology, ancient languages, mental alchemy, druidic alchemy, and ancient theology.
Have you released that yet, or is it still prototyping?
Yeah, it's published. If they go to the Library of Mind, actually here, give me 1 second. You care if I flip my camera to show it?
Sure, go ahead.
You're gonna be able to edit it? All right, cool. So this is the app itself. I'm gonna flip my camera entirely so that it's a little bit better though.
Is it on Samsung, Apple? Where can they find it if they want to look?
Okay, so it's not on any of those two, it's on Expo Pro. But the easiest way for them to find it is if they type in their phone browser, because I've got it as a free source right now. They just got to go to libraryofminds.org, which, or even get this QSR code. And then if they go down to the bottom of the page, this is where you install Expo Pro. You can get it from the Play Store or the App Store. Download this, and then go back to this link and click the open for your processor. And then this is where my app pops up from. Some of these aren't on here because, like I said, this builds as I go right now. Like you're seeing like future date releases, like the Druidic Alchemy, Ancient Theology is new, and then there's more expansion on ancient languages and astrology right now.
But I most definitely believe that you can find it in multiple books.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying.
I try not to put a cap on knowledge at all. I think all knowledge is considered good knowledge, whether it has harmful
There's
tendencies or helpful tendencies, as I call them. Whether you're looking at Kabbalah, I believe that can give you some type of essential knowledge that will help you or others in the future to not really say combat it, but defend yourself. And the same thing with like stuff like the Gnostic Gospels, like the Gospel of Thomas, the Apocryphon of John, Demonology by King James. He also rewrote the Bible in his version. So I mean, I think that each scripture, grimoire, text that can be found can be used towards furthering knowledge.
Yeah, like just for one of mine in the ancient theology, if we're talking on theology today, the very first part when it comes into the first course, Introduction to Ancient Sacred Texts, the Bhagavad Gita, which deals with Krishna. Then there's the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu. There's a lot of these. It's boundless, really internal, infinite. Where's the static coming from?
Are on to the next one. Are we more aestheticism or experience? Does your path involve denying the body to free the spirit, or do you believe that we must find the divine through our lived experiences?
I believe that we would automatically find it through lived experiences. I believe on an ignorance and a wisdom based scale more than anything. I believe that, say, John over here comes from a bad background and he was taught that hitting people is okay, that talking to people wrong is okay. They are going to have a different outlook on life.
Mm-hmm.
And in my fact, I would consider that a form of ignorance because they weren't taught the way that most people would through love or nurturing or care. So a Kabbalist could see that they are doing good work from their point of view. And just as me as a Gnostic, I believe that we gain understanding through knowledge, which inherently helps us understand others as people and be able to unite under a consensus of some sort.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Baylor?
So I see that I think we need to take our parts to a three lens. You see, like it's represented in kind of like a trinity, but not in the same trinity in the sort of fact. We need to recognize ourselves as we are in the physical, honoring our physical frequency and our frequency and how we react on this plane, since this is where we originate from. Even if we go further back to if we go further back to this where we originate from now, this fracture does. So I believe that's just as important as our spiritual plane. So we can't ignore our spiritual work, our energy work, and the background work. And
Mm,
then the third lens is that of which we are with the creator. That's the final completion. That's why when you make the symbol that I was making, right, the third lens is connecting
mhm.
to the other two on the back because it's in the shadows connecting you. It's the understanding of knowing the connection when.
Yeah, and I work on a three soul system, which is very similar. It's the our will is pushed out into the world by the ego. You have the fetch, which carries the work, and you have the higher consciousness, which is the part of us that's connected to source.
So I guess I would live on technically a four soul. It's kind
Yeah.
of weird. It's just an add-on. You would have yourself, your lower self, your higher self, and the other one that you mentioned.
Yep. Yep.
I just think that the lower self would be considered a part of the ego, but also a subsect in the way of uh, we were taught a baseline of morality when we were of a certain age. So that would be our lower self, where we can go back to basics without it being entangled with ego, if that makes any sense.
Mhm.
Be childlike. Is
Yeah.
that what
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
Back to the
yeah,
referring
childlike
to?
wonder.
your child brain, your child brain.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Your child.
Well,
Yep.
it also means the creativity and the imagination that's behind that as well. And we've also recently in neuroscience, I don't remember if I sent it to both of you guys, but we found the gene that is actually disintegrating over time that they're calling like the child dream. I'm not talking about the conspiracy version of it. They have an actual name for something that kind of does dissolve within us over time
Interesting.
now. Yeah, let me look it up. I got my laptop.
Yeah. Um, on the subject of archons, how do you interpret the concept of them? Are they literal celestial gatekeepers, or are they a psychological barrier like ego and social conditioning?
I think that it's a yes question. I believe that our ego works against us as an inner archonic bit that was given to us by the material uh,
Mm-hmm.
architects. I believe it was an add-on to the said soul. Like it shouldn't have been needed, and the ego does not really transcend past the material, past the archonic. Because once you, it, like I said, we base it off of a wisdom and an ignorance. We feel that Sophia had not a an evil moment, but an ignorant moment where she never where she could not understand what source was, so she tried to replicate.
Mm-hmm. See, neither one's wrong. Uh,
No,
because the prose is essentially, are you more inclined to the mysticism side and or
I
to
can see
like a
both sides
Jungian
of that
psychological
coin.
model? Yeah, and both can be correct. That's the fun part.
So
I told
I,
you I got
I
hard questions.
yeah, I see the point of the ego can be an interpersonal part, and then that also that the archons are a spiritual force that cause us. I mean, we see it literally every day when we talk about this on
Hmm.
lives
Hmm.
on TikTok. By the way, my name on TikTok is Firen the Becomer. It has a hyphen over the E. Um,
So for
Great
me,
talk over there.
oh man, I lost my train of thought. I had it. What was the question again?
Archons, are
Oh,
archons a
yes.
psychological
So
model, or are they like physical entities?
it's both because to me, Archon, R, Arch, Con, Conquest, anything that is the arch rival of one's conquest is what we can refer to and acknowledge as an Archon, whether it be
Mhm.
on our energetic field or whether it be on our physical field.
Oh, absolutely. And we have very similar things with trickster spirits and people that uh, may be here to do curses and mindful work on us, or that toxic ex that was here to show you exactly what you didn't want. Um, and then my last question is, how does the Gnostic worldview change the way that you live your daily life in our modern materialistic world? Because it comes from very old systems, and how do we modernize this?
So, in the first part of the question, I would say it one more time, just to get it
Uh,
through.
how does the Gnostic worldview change the way that you live uh, in our modern society?
Okay. Um, it's made me more of an empathetic slash sympathetic person in the way of it's opened me up to being more open minded to hearing other people's parts and their stories and being able to understand them and use them as furthering myself. It's literally putting the term is trying to put yourself into others people's shoes. um, I think that in more of the Christian, Islamic, and Judaistic faiths, with the more modern sense, it's no, you're going to follow this one God and you're going to do this, as to
Hmm.
where Gnostics open up the eye and they look around and they're like, all these things can be equated to source if we
Hmm.
look at it from an open lens.
Exactly,
Um,
and that we're all really just jellyfish trying to navigate spiritual waters and contemplate reality.
yeah. And what was the second part of the question?
Uh, and how
How
does
do you?
that like affect your like daily existence in like our contemporary society?
Uh, I think it's literally made it to where I'm able to not really teach people, but if they give um opportunity to learn without the discernment is great to have, but when it's rooted in indoctrination and dogma, it can stop the progression of
Mm,
the moving forward, and that's where people I believe people get stuck in
yeah.
their religious factors. I feel like I'm always evolving. I feel like one day I am an emanationalist or emanational Gnostic, and the next day I'm an emanational theurgist. I
Mhm.
keep myself open to multiple practices because the ancients uh didn't look at religions as, oh, you have to follow this one. They looked at them as different viewpoints, or an actual literal
Yeah, these were
language, like a
yeah.
language to speak through spirituality, not a blocked off point of view.
Mhm.
They looked at all religions as a way of describing the higher uh higher system.
So what gnosis has shown to me is that every fracture is a fracture from where we all came from. Wherever this came come from is we ourselves interact with each other in the exact same way. If we want to help each other, guide each other, we interact them on a higher vibration, a lighter vibration. If we
Yeah.
are trying to harm, which I don't recommend, we would lower our vibration. So if we want to go to a lower form or a lower state where we're giving into temptation, we would match the frequency of temptation.
Mhm.
Whereas if we want to know the secrets of the all, we would match the secrets of everything around us. And I incorporate that every day with me by actually literally working with my bioelectrical field, pushing
Mhm.
that out towards those things around me to help me gain the understanding of other things. Like I watched animals and I learned their language when they're communicating to each other. I watch people so that way I know if somebody is sad, I can feel that from a while away and emulate myself to heal that sadness.
hmm hmm And I have one more question. The figure of Jesus, or like the savior through different mythologies, how do you perceive this role? Is it such a figure, or a literal historical person, or a symbolic archetype meant to help trigger our awakening?
I think that in the same thing as a little bit earlier, it can be both, in the point of a lot of people see him as a savior in the Christian faith, as to where we as Gnostics see him as an awakener. Um, to the Christians or other parts of that, they would believe that Jesus is the only way to free ourselves from sin. But from a Gnostic point of view, or a Hermetic or Eastern philosophical point of view, we would see it as um, he was here to show us that we can be just like him, if not better. He even says in Scripture, in canonical and deuterocanonical scriptures, that he is to be exemplified, but he is not to be worshipped. He is a part of Christ consciousness, not a Messiah. He is there to awaken the mass, uh, not come to die for what
hmm
they believe. Um, More or less, he's taught us to look inward instead of look outward, to say the demiurge, or um, uh, uh, still a higher being. Worship isn't the right word that we should use. I would say it's more of a veneration slash uh, co-working space.
hmm
Okay, so what was the question that was asked again? Because I know I'm about to cook on this
Uh,
one.
do you view Jesus as a literal figure, as a archetype of like the Christos, and uh, or is it a combination, or do you feel that it's an allegorical figure,
It's so
or like any of the savior
allegorical. I like
figures?
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is where I'm going with this. So I believe that Christ is the same story that was told to us by Krishna. Krishna also came after that, to where the Enochian story matches similarities, to where they give us the wisdom and knowledge on the fact of, um, I don't know the name, I'm not buried on my Enochian knowledge. But anyway, he tells us the secrets, and he's known as the person who changed our source codes and everything like that. And then you have Thoth that came and told us knowledge and wisdom and everything of the sort. So we have a retelling of these same similar stories, giving us the knowledge and the pathway. So I think what this is the same story in a different figure, whether he be physical, whether he be spiritual, that represents the way of telling us what we already knew. We tell it as we tell it to ourselves in multiple different ways.
Yeah.
So I believe the answer to the question would be yes.
hmm I would agree. I view him, as I mentioned in the comments there. There's a great book which is called Jesus Through the Pagan's Eyes, which we view him very much as a teacher or an enlightened master, and not as a savior of people.
Yep.
So, well, it's debated if he was a literal person, or which of the, I think, 5 or 6 Yeshuas that have been found so far in historical texts. We don't know which one of them, or any of them, were this man that was talked about.
I think
But
it's all.
his teachings, I would agree with you. I think it could be very similar to like Paul, and that we found that uh, Paul was a collection of multiple writers and wasn't a singular figure, which was very common at the time. And that could very likely be the case. But that, like,
Well,
we.
even in the Christian Bible, it says there will be those that come after me that have never met me, that have never known me, that will try to speak for me in my name. Do not listen to these people. Not word
Jesus
for word.
himself was a Canaanite, right?
Huh?
Yeah, his
Wasn't Jesus
mother
a Canaanite?
was well, he was a, I forget the tribe that Mary was supposed to have been from, but she was from a nomadic tribe. Um, and from the pagan lens, she's supposed to be what they're referred to as a red priestess, and either would have worshipped Isis or Ishtar. And his father was a Jewish
Okay.
man, which is kind of where the pagan
Okay.
lens view on it is because we kind of revere Mary and Mary Magdalene as being like the sacred priestesses. Hello, Billy. But I think those are really all the questions that I have for you guys. If you guys watch and have any questions, feel free. We'll be in here for a little bit. I guess we could talk about the fall of Sophia. We haven't really approached too much on how the creationist story goes within Gnosticism.
Okay. So the creationist story starts off in the fact that there are about, I would say, about 30 different types of aeons. I could not name all 30. But the reason there are 30 is there would be 15 pairs. Each one has a counterpart, and each one has a reasoning for being that primordial divinity. We don't really look at them as full-on spiritual beings that we basically through archons and angels devised ways to reroute it through the material plane, but it's not perfect. So as we go back to, like I was saying, there are 30 of these, and out of these, the most mentioned are Logos,
Barbalos.
Thelatos, Barbello, Sophia, Zoe, Christos. These are the main ones that have the part of the story that kind of matters in the creationist part, where Sophia creates the demiurge. So the partner, depending on of Sophia, depending on which aspect of Gnosticism you look into, some say it was Thelatos was her partner, and basically was a neglectful partner. He would have been what we called Will, and she would have been Sophia, which is wisdom. Or you can look at it from more of a Abrahamic slash mystic way, and look at it where Christos is Logos and came down to teach others how to free themselves of
The cycle, which is
the
also
cycle.
freeing Sophia bit by
Yeah.
bit.
All right.
Which would be getting his partner back to be able to come back to Pleroma, ending the cycle, ending the demiurge causing these issues, and bringing peace back to, or fullness back to Pleroma, you know. But that is just the characters around it. So we would get into the aspect of Sophia was an emanation of the absolute, or the one, or the monad, whatever you would like to call them. Barbella was one of the very first emanations, and through them, more emanations come. What nobody really talks about is the further that we get away from monad, the understanding, the spiritual intelligence goes down the further you get away from set pleroma. So there can be room for mistakes or ignorance. Not that
Yeah.
it is malevolent, but that the further away that we get from source, the more blurry the foggier the
The more we forget our purpose.
distance in between
Mm.
gets. So Sophia wanted to be able to create something like like Monad or Barbello. Uh, Sophia wanted to be able to emanate personally. She did not go to her partner. She did not ask, "Hey, would this cause any issues?" She relied within herself at this point. Did not go to counterpart. Did not go to Monad.
And
Could
there's
not
lack of
understand the
balance.
situation. Yeah.
Yeah, she had a lack of
So
balance, which
yeah,
resulted in
she lacked the
unbalanced
balance.
creation.
So logos is considered understanding, and Sophia is wisdom. So with the two, you would have understanding, the wisdom. But she didn't go to that said counterpart. So when she did, she created a being that was a malformed creation to imitate,
Mm.
to be like a shadow version of what the monad would be. And through that, it was a divine ignorance or mistake, because she was on one of the outer rims of Pleroma. She was more susceptible to making mistakes. So when she did create mistake, she was embarrassed or felt that, or kicked out, depending on scripture you read. She moves out of Pleroma into what we would call Kanoma, which is void of fullness. It's the emptiness, the void. Um, he She brought Yaldabaoth, Saklas, whatever you would like to call him, is a blind deity, not in the actual physical sense, but spiritually blind. It did not know where it came from. The mother did not want to claim said child because she felt like it was wrong and against what the monad stands for, and
Mm.
so on and so forth with the other emanations. So she hides him in this cloud, uh, creates his own little universe for him. But what she didn't realize is when she gave him an outlet, he was able to pull from her, and create a universe through the matter of her being.
Mm.
And when doing that, he created Adam. Some say that he had a soul, some say that he didn't. Considering that he was using Sophia's powers to breathe into Adam, I would say that at one point he was given a soul, but was empty at one point. We can get down to the fact of the demiurge started to play God only for the fact of that he was emanating some ethereal existence outside of himself, imitation, mirroring, whatever. We would look at it as he does not know better because he was never shown the outside appearance. Because as soon as Sophia gave him the will, she was basically sucked in created as matter. Sophia is what we would consider as the material plane now, a part of ourselves and of all things around us. That's why it's not inherently evil, but the being that controls it is. In more of a ignorant way, not a malevolent, just wanting to destroy because it doesn't know better, more on the lines of it doesn't know about monads, so it can't feel that it can't feel or know that it is not the one original God, because nothing was able to ever tell it that it was.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Guys, I think that's about all I have for you. Any final thoughts before we flip over for the day?
If you want to say anything on that, Jacob, then we can wrap it up.
I don't know. I was just touching base. I was listening. It was just pretty beautiful in the sense you're talking about two sides of the pillars of Americans where it comes together, how you have to understand both to be able to achieve connection and branch off in the plural. Am I right?
Yeah. I
Yes.
tried to explain it as good as possible with the
No, you did great.
limitation of.
Yeah, no, it was great.
I tried to cover
That's what I
all of
mean.
it
Like that, we
within a
could have
short
ended.
amount of time. That's probably
Yeah,
the
yeah,
quickest I could explain anything with the creation story.
yeah, because we're
And
going
I
deep
could
in
go even
cosmology.
further. I could go even further in how they had when Sophia, the essence, was put into Adam. They split Adam into two parts, which would have been Eve, and basically separated the divine feminine. But we're gonna stop there because that is a whole nother conversation.
Oh yeah, we could go for hours.
Another
Mhm.
podcast, right? That's another
Yeah,
podcast on this one.
yeah. If you guys like
We can
it,
do a part
interact,
two.
let us know, and we'll absolutely do a part two. But on that note, I hope you all have a fantastic day, week, and that you guys uh, stick around and we see you next time. But on
Thank
that
you for
one,
having us. It was great to be up here.
many blessings for
Yeah,
you.
much love. Appreciate you
Uh,
for the space,
our
Nico.
names on TikTok because that's usually where we're gonna be. His is as is on screen. Mine would be Faerun the Becomer, as in the bottom.
Yeah, yep. And I do hermetic and Gnostic chats. You'll find them live there all the time. And of course, you find me here and within the cauldron. And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye, guys.